Best Irish music on irishradio.org with Jerry Byrne.
Irish Radio it is, and my guest online is a lady who came to a huge prominence. In fact, it was almost worldwide prominence back in 1970 when, as a fresh-faced young lass from Derry, she was the very first winner of the Eurovision Song Contest for Ireland. The song was All Kinds of Everything, It Can Only Be Dana. Lovely to speak to you.
And you too, Jerry. Lovely to hear you.
I think you may have been the person who gave Ireland confidence in itself, because it was never believed before that anybody from Ireland could possibly win on a world stage.
Well, we'd had such great entries, and we had number 2 position, I think. We had a number 3 position. We'd great songs and we'd great artists, but it was almost assumed that we'd be the bridesmaid and never the bride. So no one expected me to win, at least of all me. So I have to pay tribute to the writers of the song, Derry, Lindsay and Jackie Smith. They were compositors in a newspaper. They weren't professional writers. I wasn't a professional singer. So I think there was, a sincerity about the song and the simpleness of it. I'm just so delighted that people all over Europe loved it as well.
Indeed. I remember it was such a huge win. I was in primary school back then, and remember the teacher got everybody to learn the song because it was that huge.
I know. And in all different countries, school children learnt it because it was like a simple lesson in the English language. Just, a string of different words, and they loved it, and children still love that song.
It is absolutely incredible. It launched your career in music, like on a worldwide stage.
Well, Eurovision did give a worldwide stage, and it was a very big hit in Australia and in America, where they didn't watch Eurovision. One of the big country stars recorded the song, and actually he recorded it as a hymn, and you can look at the words in that way as well. So it's lasted 55 years because it's a song that I think touches a lot of people's heart.
Indeed, but not alone with All Kinds of Everything. You've had many other successful hit songs in the intervening years.
I've been very blessed in my career, and I had a wonderful manager in my father in the early years, along with a wonderful agent. And then when I left Decca Records and I went to GTO Records, it was founded by a second-generation Irishman, Dick Leahy, one of the most successful men in the music business. They said he had magic ears. He could hear hit songs. And I did have a very lucky streak. I had a number of top chart successes with him. So I look back and I think I was so blessed. I was so lucky in my career.
But it's not alone luck. It's got to be talent as well. And you certainly have proven over the years to have that talent. I mean, you performed for a number of years, I know, in the USA.
Well, thank you. But, I know that there are people far more talented than me that maybe just didn't have the breaks or didn't have the opportunities. So, yes, you need a certain amount of talent. You need a lot of hard work. You also need those lucky moments.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, you've had a truly incredible record, over these 55 years.
55 years. Jerry, I can't believe it when you say that. 55 years. And they have been, like everybody's life, ups and downs. You get ups and downs. And I don't regret the hard times either, because as a very famous singer once said to me, a very, very famous singer, she said, never regret the hard audiences or the bad sound or just the bad nights, because that's what makes you a star, not the easy road. And you learn so much more from the hard times in life.
Indeed so. That's very, very true. And for this year, you've re-recorded your huge success from 1975. It'll be a cold, cold Christmas without you. I think that year must have been probably one of the worst years to actually bring out a Christmas song, because the number one at that time was the world famous Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, and Greg Lake was at number 2 and you were at number 3.
Yes. I was recording in Germany. I was doing German versions of the songs that had been very successful for me in the UK and in Europe and Ireland. And I got a call from Dick Leahy, the man with the magic ears. And he said, Roger Greenaway is flying over to Berlin today. And Roger Greenaway was a massive, successful songwriter. And he said he and another very successful songwriter, Jeff Stevens, they have written a song for you. And he said, I think it's a hit. He said, I want you to listen to it. And if you like it, I want you to record it today and I want to release it for Christmas. Well, this was like the end of November. And Roger Greenaway flew over and he sang me the song and I liked it. I went in the studio. He'd already done the backing track. He had it with him in a briefcase. And I recorded it. And they released it toward the end of the first week of December. Now, that's impossibly close to Christmas. But it literally zoomed up the charts. I was on top of the pops within about a week and a half. And I remember them telling me, it's selling over 50,000 copies a day. And Dick Leahy always said, if it hadn't been for Freddie Mercury and Queen, you'd be number one. And of course, we used to laugh about that because that was such an iconic song, Bohemian Rhapsody. But we zoomed up the charts. It went number 4 in the UK, and I think it was number 3 in Ireland, and it went in the charts all over Europe. So it was literally in a matter of a couple of weeks.
Truly phenomenal success, and as I say, it really was possibly the worst year to actually bring out the song because of those other 2 iconic songs that were in the charts. But it's still on. It's a must-have song for Christmas, and it's on all, shall we say, the Christmas platforms. It's always featured to this day.
It is. So it was a surprise to me. Last Christmas, my son Robert, or Rob as we call him, he and we'd written a song together just after COVID called Christmas Again, which was really about people that couldn't be with their loved ones or their family. And basically it's saying, look, we can't be together at Christmas, but the next time we're together, if it's June, if it's the middle of summer, we'll make it Christmas again. And so coming into this year, he said to me one day, you shouldn't miss this, important anniversary. So I said, what anniversary is that? He said, it's the 50th anniversary of the release of It's Going to Be a Cold, Cold Christmas. And he said, you should re-record it, like a reimagined version of it, not a different version, but like a reimagined version. Well, Jerry, I couldn't imagine it any other way than the way I first recorded it. So I said, well, what do you hear? And he said, well, I hear kind of lush strings and very rich backing vocals and just a gentler feel as you are today. And so I said, well, look, you run with it. If that's how you hear it, you do it. And he produced it. And we recorded it with young fellas. Well, they were 14 when they first came to our house. Robert played in a band with them. He played the drums. I've watched them grow up, Jerry. Lovely men now. They got their own day jobs, but still great musicians. My brother Jerry Brown, he played all keyboards on it. My nephew Jonathan did backing vocals with a gorgeous wee girl called Rosie, who worked in the coffee shop where the guys used to go and get coffee, but a beautiful silky voice. And we had a string section, a Romanian string section. And when I listened to it, I'm so proud of them, Jerry. I'm so proud of them. And I really hope that people like it.
Yes, I definitely feel they will. And I must say, it is a fantastic recording, and it is, as you say, with the strings and everything else in it, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. But you've had a sort of as well as the music, you even went into politics. You were an MEP.
I was indeed a most unexpected turn in my life, and I'm very privileged that people would trust you with their vote. And the reason I got into it was because in 1995, I did a 25th anniversary tour. I did an album called The Collection, songs that have been hits for me and ones that I wish I had recorded. And I was going up and down Ireland, as I did after Eurovision, and people would talk to me about mostly a feeling that people weren't listening to them. You know, people in control of the country weren't listening to them. And they had a lot of concerns, especially in the West, where I was touring a lot in the West and needed investment, needed jobs, needed proper housing, didn't have broadband and all of these things. And people were very concerned that the country was changing rapidly and they didn't feel that they had any voice. And then when our president at the time, Mary Robinson, stepped down for a bigger job, stepped down early, a lot of people wrote to me and said, would you go forward for nomination for the Irish presidency? I just tore up the letter. I thought they must be crazy. I'm not interested in this at all. But, you know, it came a point where I realised I had a platform and all I had to do was to speak about what these people felt no one was listening to. And that's what I did. That's all I did. And I came third place. I got a very, very big vote. And then 2 years later, no, less than 2 years later, it was roughly 2 years later, they again said, would you speak for us? And I did a very short campaign in for the European Parliament's positions, and I got elected. And suddenly, there I am in the European Parliament. But it was honestly only because I could be a voice for people who felt no one was listening to them.
Indeed, and well done on all that success. I must say you've had an incredible life so far. From 55 years ago, winning the Eurovision, through all the hits, through all the tours throughout the world, indeed, and also as an MEP and numerous other things as well. Congratulations on it all.
Well, I wish I could take credit for it. I don't feel I do take credit for it because, you just do what you feel you have to do. And like everybody's life, I've had ups and I've had downs, like everybody's life. And do you know what? I just thank God. I thank God that I believe in God because I don't know where people turn in their life if they don't have that belief. And that's been a great strength to me in my life.
Indeed, indeed, and what a life it's been. Dana, listen, it's been lovely to speak to you, and once again, well done on everything.
And to you too, Jerry. And if anyone wants to check out that new version, they can look on danaofficial.com. Now, my son says I have to say this every interview, and I forget every interview, but danaofficial.com or any of the streaming platforms that they use. But may I wish you, Jerry, and to all your listeners, a very, very happy and peaceful and a blessed Christmas.